This is part of the Harley-Davidson Lake. The answer to every search can be found on the great American freedom machine.
And the world's most valuable license record belongs to Harley-Davidson.
Muy buenos días, aquí les presentamos este gran especial en sus 117 años de Harley-Davidson Motorcycles. Desde Milwaukee, Wisconsin, tenemos este gran invitado especial, nuestro constructor de esta apreciada réplica, el Atmospheric 1909. Camilo Motocustom, bienvenido aquí. Tenemos aquí unas diapositivas clásicas vintage de las primeras máquinas, en especial esta referencia, el Atmospheric 1909. Bienvenido, Camilo. Y bueno, estamos presenciando ese vintage clásico tal como lo eran las primeras Harley-Davidson que marcaron la historia en sus inicios desde 1903, pero esta máquina es realizada a partir de 1909 con el primer motor bicilíndrico en B, el B-Twin Atmospheric 1909. Su línea, sus curvas, su chasis semiduro, gris con rojo vintage, su sonido característico que lo enmarca. Bienvenidos aquí, Music Master, con este especial, el Atmospheric 1909. Harley-Davidson Motorcycles desde Milwaukee, Wisconsin, en su celebración de aniversario, sus 117 años. Disfruten un breve paseíto en esta cuarentena, en el confinamiento del COVID-19, en las calles de Chia. Camilo Motocustom.
Hi, I'm David, the exhibit's curator at the Harley-Davidson Museum. This probably won't shock anybody, but a lot of the collection housed in the archives at the museum has to do with motorcycles manufactured by Harley for 117 years. That includes the nearly 500 motorcycles in the collection. However, there's plenty else, photographs, documents, artifacts, that give us a glimpse into other aspects of the company's history. And so that includes material that talks about the day-to-day work in the factories, even from the very early years of the company. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about another famous Milwaukee product, beer, and its surprising connection to the factory operations of Harley-Davidson until around 1920. beer and Harley-Davidson are probably the two most famous products to come out of Milwaukee. And there's a lot of coexisting between the two products. There, for instance, was a Milwaukee motorcycle club called the Beer City Riders. The local beers appeared at many Milwaukee motorcycle rallies and other events that Harley-Davidson hosted throughout the years. But this isn't a story about the motorcyclists. This is a story about the people who built Harley-Davidson motorcycles. So I'm going to start with this can, which kind of looks like a miniature milk can, if you haven't seen one of those before. Except for the imprint on the side labeling it as the property of Harley-Davidson, it's, pretty plain. It's only large enough for 12 ounces of liquid, but it does hold quite a bit of history. And yes, that pun was totally intended. So what was this thing used for? So, until around 1920, when the noon whistle sounded at the Harley-Davidson factory, a few workers would form what they called can brigades. They would grab these long sticks, and then the other workers would hang these cans from them. Once the sticks were full, they'd rush to the factory's main entrance, where the cans would be filled with a choice of two beverages, one of which was beer. At this time, there was nothing odd about Harley offering lunchtime drinks to its workers. Even in the 19-teens, this practice of employers giving their employees something to drink during a break was old. And I'm talking like really old. For instance, hired farmhands in colonial America expected alcohol as part of their pay. In the 1820s, construction workers building the Erie Canal in New York received whiskey from their employers during their workdays. By the 1900s, the preferred drink was beer, and that had a lot to do with mass German immigration into America, which lasted from the 1820s to about World War I. And though all Germans settled everywhere, for decades they came to Milwaukee, and so Milwaukee had a very large German population. To illustrate that, you can just take a look at this map. So this map was drawn by the Women's Club of Wisconsin in 1918. Each city block is a different color or design that represented one of the 33 ethnicities that they identified who lived in the city at the time. All the yellow squares with black dots, those represent city blocks with a majority of ethnic Germans living there. And if we zoom in, that number 15 is over this neighborhood where Harley-Davidson's factory was located. Over a decade later, in 1930, that area was still 40% German immigrant. While we don't know exactly how many Germans or German Americans worked at Harley-Davidson in these years, you can bet it was quite a few given the makeup of the city. German immigrants brought with them beer brewing knowledge and skill from Germany. Decades before Harley-Davidson was founded, many German immigrants built big-name breweries that you'd probably recognize today. Blatz, Schlitz, Pabst, A. Gettleman Brewery, who brewed Milwaukee's best, and, of course, Miller. Those last two, Gettleman and Miller, were just a stone's throw from where the Davidson brothers grew up, and only half a mile from where they would eventually build the Harley-Davidson factory. In fact, after years of both companies acquiring the land around their operations, today Miller Brewery and Harley-Davidson's headquarters, which was the old factory, are literally across the street from one another. So, during this period, beer was literally everywhere. It was a social drink, a work drink, and a major component of Milwaukee's economy. But Harley-Davidson in the 19-teens was always quick to point out that beer wasn't the preferred drink of hundreds of employees who worked at the factory. If they didn't like beer, they could always get the second choice. Another great Wisconsin product, milk. The Archives even has proof of milk's popularity. This picture was taken as Harley-Davidson workers grabbed milk bottles for their lunch break. So this post was a bit of an experiment for us. We've never explored stories that, while connected to Harley's history, are this far-ranging from the motorcycles. And we really appreciate it if you let us know how we did and what you thought. Special shout out to the Milwaukee Public Library, who provided the Milwaukee map and the brewing photographs. To see more historical Milwaukee photos, visit them at mpl.org. Many of the other images that didn't come from Harley's collection came from the Library of Congress and National Archives, who also have photo collections online. As always, if you want more Harley-Davidson history and content, stay tuned to our social media pages or visit us at hdmuseum.com.